right, welcome back to 2B2T. We're here with 524 individuals. We've been exploring New Stone City over there, as well as a temple. And now we have followed a rail that has taken us out to the Pyramid of Pyramids. Looks like a black glass pyramid. Can't remember what color yellow is. Is this what I tagged shulks as, or is this just a barrel? Oh, it's a shulk. Someone left a whole shulk? I mean, there's nothing in it. But that's cool. I'll leave it there. If it had something more valuable, I'd definitely take it. So they built this huge obsidian structure, and then they used black stained glass. Doesn't look like it's tinted glass. They trapped you with a skeleton. There's a bunch of pistons here, which tells me that maybe there was a dupe machine here at one point in time. Possibly. What else would you be using these pistons for? They're really interesting, though. There's the entrance. This is a pretty cool place, though. Just the, I mean, the design of the obsidian and then putting the glass together and everything. It's just, it makes it really interesting. Maybe this was supposed to be like a big PvP arena. Because this obviously was here with a battle. Is there anything underneath? Nope. I'm assuming it might have been a PvP arena. Potentially. Could have been. How can I get out? Can I remember where the exit is so I can get out of here? Very interesting. Offers good views. I mean, you could just stand up here and watch it, go into third person and see what's going on. The mushroom banner. I have this banner. Cool prism. Well, we must add our. You followed me all the way up here, didn't you? Sorry to disappoint you. Well, cool. All right, well, we've done, that's quite a bit of discovery. Makes you wonder what else might be around here. Onwards we go. That was cool to see all of that. The last episode and this episode, taking a look at everything. Neat to discover. Let's get rid of all of our... Whoops. We don't need block selection on. Get rid of all the lines and icons. We don't need them to tell us where we've been. We need them to tell us where we want to go. Evidently, this way into the blackest of black nights we shall travel. Past the floating witch. From which the witch came, we shall never know which way. Shortcut across the land to another ocean. Le jungle. Not sure if we're going to be able to avoid it. Ah, yeah, we're going to go into a different biome of snow over here. We can escape the jungle. I don't relish traveling through the jungle at night by foot. Sure, I could fly over it, but my elytra is getting low, and I'm not out far enough to generate chunks or to be in chunks that have already been generated that will contain okay. We had a little bit of a glitch out there, it looks like. I was going to say I was going to take the ink because I'll need to make more wool. Black wool to make my banners because I'm gonna run out. I only got 7 on me unless I make a a banner drop, but if I can make them out like I did these, then I'll make them. It just takes a lot of wool. Technically, for a good supply of banners, I need 6 stacks of black wool. Then I can get 4.5 stacks of banners, right? Something like that. Maybe 5 stacks of 16. But the likelihood of finding that much wool, you know, and I just sorted through tons and tons of chests, and there was wool in some of those chests, not a lot, but there was wool. Didn't even think about grabbing it so I could make banners. Oh well, so much for that. I probably could have at least made a dozen banners with the amount of wool that was in those chests. Maybe not. I don't remember big stocks of wool anywhere, but there could have been a bunch. Oh well. Sometimes you think of things when you think of them, and sometimes you think of things when it's too late to think of those things. And then it's like, oops. What other interesting things shall we find out here in the wilderness? It'll be really interesting once we get out past the 100,000 if we can just stumble across an active base or a stash. That would be exciting. We're going to have to climb up this hill, aren't we? Well, let's make a path while I'm standing here on my boat. Why, hello, army of creepers here to greet me. This will have to be my last episode of this recording session. I need to make myself a dinner and then get dressed up. Well, I'm dressed, but I mean put on my work clothes so that I can work in a couple hours. See, here's 5 wool. We'll just start now that we remembered. Excuse me, sorry. We'll oh, come on, get it out of your system. I probably won't remember to edit, so I apologize. Because I won't get around to publishing this or rendering this video for a few days probably, and by then I'll forget that I should edit some stuff out of it. No, kitty, land on the keyboard. I'm still not feeding you. You got 45 minutes. You're gonna stand in front of my screen and stare at me, huh? Oh, I can stare back at you. Yeah, look at this. Yeah, I stick my tongue out at you too. Oh, you're gonna come over here and just plop yourself down right on top of my mouse? Oh, thank you. Listen, we still got 16 or so minutes of this video, okay? So you gotta give me space. Respect, you know? Just show a little respect, that's all. Enjoy the silence with the squids. Oh, you're going to scoot further now, so I have to try to adjust myself and scoot further back so I have more room for my mouse. Ah, I see what your strategy is. You silly kitty, you. Here, I'll scratch your head while we're rowing, okay? Deal? That's a nice trade-off, right? You get a little cheeky scratch like this. Yeah, you like that. Mommy Jin. Here, we'll rub your ears a little bit. Feel good? Yeah, you like that? Okay. Yeah, you'll get soft food soon after this video, okay? Alright, what'd we miss? Nothing, evidently. Remnants of a village, an old village. That doesn't even have beds. Ah, they're living in the Stone Age, those villagers. At least with these oceans in this sector, we're making good time. Good progress of distance towards the 100K mark. I think we're past the 50K mark. I don't know, I haven't looked at the chords in a while. But if I remember the last time I looked at the chords, which was a number of episodes ago, we were past 40K. So we've got to be past 50K now. Maybe even 60. Although we haven't necessarily been going in a straight line so much. We've been doing a lot of zigzaggies and stuff, so maybe not. Maybe we haven't made as much progress as I think. Could be. We shall replenish. One more. There we go. Now we shall run with the bunnies. Come on, bunny, I'll race ya. I'll be the tortoise. I'll win. Ha 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 ha. Don't know if you've seen that TikTok trend and source video of the ballerina show, the kids ballerina show. It's the tortoise and the hare. That's really good. You know, it was really cute to watch. The music, you know, that goes with it is perfect, and the story, you know, that they act out, you know, just through music and dance. And seeing the kids bounce across the screen, and then the turtles, you know, and then the little girls that are playing the bunnies, you know, they'll be in front of the tortoise and they'll stand up, and then they'll like, nah, 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 you're so slow, you know, I mean, kind of a little dance like that. And then I've seen how a lot of these peoples that are in, I don't know, Pilates classes or whatever, you know, they reenact try to do the bunny hop like the kids go, you know, as adults, and obviously don't work as well. It takes a lot of work. Those kids really had some practice and energy to put all that together and to go for that distance in that bunny hop that they did with their legs kicking back straight up and everything. Geez, that can't, I know I can't do something like that. Maybe I can once, but I'm too old for that. What's interesting is it's only just now that it's like trending and everything, but when you look at the original production and the date, the play or the show that was in, I don't know what, I forget which part of China, but it's out of China. It occurred way earlier this year. So and it took that long before it started popping up on trends, where it, you know, most likely it got out of the Chinese media platforms and got into other platforms. Because there's difference, you know, I mean, people look at things like TikTok and Facebook and WhatsApp and all that, and they think that Instagram, and, you know, they go, man, these are massive platforms with millions and millions and millions of users, and they're the largest in the world. No, they're not. People, you know, look at Amazon and go, oh, Amazon's the largest distribution online shopping company in the world. No, it's not. Because, and this is the thing, people don't realize that you can have a company like that, like Alibaba as an example, and I forget some of the app names that are the equivalent to Facebook and all of that, you know, that are in China. There's nothing wrong with those platforms. You know, they're good platforms. They're just in Chinese, which makes it difficult for other users. But you got to remember, there's something like 1.2 or more billion with a B people in China. And, you know, a large number of them are using these services, which easily outdoes anything that exists in the rest of the world. India is the same way. India has some massive platforms because there's over 1 billion people in India. And it's the same thing, you know, I mean, they have these companies that are absolute giants of companies with, you know, literally half a billion subscribers and things like that in some cases, or users, of the services or whatever it might be. Whereas, like, if you have a platform in the U.S., like, the U.S. version of TikTok, we'll just take that as an example. I mean, it's probably got, what, maybe 100 million subscribers? Maybe more. But, I mean, that's nothing compared to the size of those platforms, in those countries like India and China that have populations of well over 1 billion people. It's kind of staggering to think about, especially for individuals like myself. I'm from the U.S. and, I mean, the U.S. has what, 400 million? I don't know what the current census is, but it somewhere around there, right? Definitely a large number, bigger than most countries around the world from a population perspective. Excuse me. But you don't feel it. Unless you're in the middle of Los Angeles, Chicago, or New York City or something, you don't feel that there's a lot of people. Because the majority of citizens of the U.S. live in towns of, 30, 40, maybe 50,000 people or so, or smaller. And there's tons of open space everywhere where you can just go out and not see another person for days, even. So you just don't feel that it's crowded or that there's a lot of people or whatnot. And then you go to these places like India or China and stuff, and with populations in the billions. It's just kind of staggering that there's that many people. But even in China and even in India, you can go to places where you don't feel that there's 1 billion people around you in this country, if you're visiting. Because they have wildernesses and forests and wildlands just like everywhere else, However, if you get into some of their cities that dwarf America's largest city of New York, I mean, New York's a big city with, what is it, 27 million in the greater New York area? I don't know. And then you go into these cities in China and India that have populations of above 30 million in one city. It's just amazing. I mean, it used to be that the largest city in the world, the two largest cities in the world was Mexico City and Tokyo, which are still massively huge, both in size and population. But now you have dozens of cities in China and in India with similar populations or larger. It's staggering the amount of people. And yet, if you were to do the numbers and crunch the numbers and everything, you could actually give every single person on Earth that exists today, us 8.5 billion people, however many there are, you could give us each, a lot of acreage or hectares of land that each person could have and not be crowded into a city. Now, of course, it's not quite practical because, let's admit it, not everybody wants to try to grow their own food or use their land for farming or things like that, and so you need vast tracts of land to generate food. It's just unfortunate that the amount of food that we grow in the world, which is more than enough to feed everyone very well all the time, that a good portion of it just goes to waste. Usually because of capitalism and greed. Sometimes because it's hard to get the food from one location to another because of cost or distance, and so that can be a challenge, obviously. And then you see these stories of farmers, like recently there's been a trend of UK farmers talking about where they show their field, and say, I have all of this and I'm going to sell it. It costs me more to plant it than I'm going to get for selling it, And that's kind of unfortunate and sad too, that they do all that work to provide us with the high quality foods that we want, the fancy labels and all that kind of stuff, and the fancy meals. Yet they can't even sell it at a rate that will provide them, money to live on. And so instead, that's why a lot of farmers in most countries live off of government subsidies, because they can't sell their crops for a good enough price to actually live on. And the only ones that can sell it at that type of a price are the big cooperatives. And then you're just an employee, and your farm becomes an employee of the cooperative, technically. The challenges of the world economy. Will it ever get better? Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. But we went through a whole area of lots of builds and massive old bases and cities and all kinds of stuff, and now we've just kind of hit a dead zone in our path. I guess I took the wrong path, right? We just didn't go in the direction of where all the other builds are. Hey, puppers. But that's all right. We're making distance. We're discovering new things and having a chat. I'll have to stop recording, make dinner, stop talking. My throat's really dry right now, despite the water I have. The cough isn't helping. And the raspy throat. I gotta make sure that I'm up to snuff, as they say. Gotta be traveling into the office again here this week, at the end of the week, so gotta make sure that I've recovered so I don't spread my virus. Nobody wants a virus. But that's how I got it. I went to the office. I came home with a virus. Happens every time. I hate it. There's advantages of working from home, and for me, the biggest advantage is that I don't get sick. If I stay at home, I go out shopping and stuff, eating and stuff like that, but if I don't go into the office, I don't get sick. And I could prove it too, because I can go back and I can look at my employment, records and whatnot, and I can, show that before I worked at home, I would get sick on average every other month. Because the offices, just like schools, are just breeding grounds of sickness. Unfortunately, they are. It's a sad fact. Nobody's fault necessarily, it's just a fact of that's the way it is. Being cooped up inside a building and a room full of people, and it's air conditioned on top of it, so that just creates a further breeding ground, because everybody comes in from the hot tropical outside and into freezing cold office inside. And then you see everybody they're wearing jackets and sweaters and thick clothing inside the office and everything, and yet you can't tell the building engineers that it's too cold because it's like, oh, but the computers, we gotta have it freezing in here because of all the computers because they generate heat. True, computers generate heat, but computers don't need to operate in sub-zero temperatures in a general office. In a server room, yes, maybe, but not in the general office area. Anyways, I would get sick at least every other month, guaranteed. Then I started working at home, and I got sick maybe twice a year. And then, of course, started going back into the office a little bit more because, you know, the pandemic fears were over and stuff like that. And lo and behold, guaranteed, almost, I would say 90% of the time that I go into the office, the next day or two, I'll have come down with something. I admit it, I have a weak immune system, unfortunately. And so the office is not my friend. So we'll see. I'm just getting over this sickness. I'm going to have to go back into the office again this week. We'll see if I'm sick next week. Yay! Hopefully not, but probably. All right, well, we found a few things. We started off, with a bang, with the remnants of some ruins and stuff. It was pretty cool. Now we've been going through a lot of ocean and past a temple full of guardians, which typically doesn't happen. There's usually only 3. That one has like over a dozen. But yeah, we will continue our journey in the next video. Appreciate you all following along and listening to me yelp. Thank you, everybody, and take care.